All right, so here we are. I've got the box a little bit more fleshed out. There's some things I would totally do different and work with. But if we look at it, it's got all the materials on it. It's working across several planes. I'm going to do a video on explaining channels and materials from scratch. But instead of doing that, I'm trying to go through it in here because it's hard to explain unless you see what I'm talking about. I'm just going to recreate how I did this. So let's just do that from scratch. So first thing I'm going to do is turn off my high quality to go to standard, and I'll still get some of this stuff. It'll look a little bit weirder out as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this object, and then I'll select that selection. So we just have this one right here. And you can see all the decals are on and everything like that. So I've got one crate here, and we're going to just start from scratch. And if we look at our materials, we've got multi-sub object materials, which means I'm using multiple materials across different polygons. Every polygon that I'm using with this material is set to an ID channel. Let me go ahead and get to this real quick and pull this over here. This. So if I look over here, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 5 is this center black one up here. So that's why there's nothing there. I haven't used it. I used to have glass on there and a glowing thing, but we'll come back to that. So all I have to do to see, if I click on this texture right here, or this polygon right here, you'll see it says ID1, and that means it's going to this first ID. If I go click on this one, you'll see it says ID2, which means it's going to this one. These are material IDs, okay? This is different than channel IDs. If I go to ID3, which would be the top up here, you'll see it says ID3. If I go to any of the decal parts, that's my ID4. Again, this is ID5, as you can see. And then ID6 is this rubber stuff. All of those are mapped out to different materials. So we're going to do that from scratch real quick. Before we go any further, we need to get this duplicate down to its bare minimum. There's a couple of things that went on with this so far. There's UV channels. There's 2 UV channels made, so I need to strip that out real quick. I'm going to go to UV unwrap. And you'll see me do it again, but I just wanted you to see the final. So, and I'll go to UV channel 2, and I'll say move, and now my speck doesn't work across the whole surface. Perfect. And then I'm going to take this one and turn it down. I think I turned it up just for the sake of seeing it better. Okay. Okay, so all I really want to do now is collapse this down to an editable poly again, and then I'm going to take this first texture, we'll just use this first one, and we're going to attach it to this as one. So we're going to throw it on everything. So now if I click here, you'll see this is 1 or 4 apparently. That's interesting. This is 4, this is 3. So instead of doing that, what I'll do is I'll select all, and I'll just change these all to 1. So it's like I have a brand new material on this thing, okay? And this is the only one that's being used. You can see that. Okay, so everything is set to 1. Everything has 1 material on it, just this first one, because it doesn't matter if I'm using a multi-material if all the material IDs are set to 1. Let's get rid of that from being 1. We know 1 is the silver one that it's already attached to, so let's go to 2. Let's go to front. We'll go to polygon object. We're going to turn on our by angle. I set mine to 10. And then I'm just going to, from the front viewport, grab this, 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 and this. And it should grab everything I want. And then if I say grow and grow, oh wait, I missed one. Grab this one, and say grow, and grow, and grow. And then I'm going to come back up and apparently grab some of this. So we can fix that. We need to grab the other side anyway. Grab this too. Okay. We don't care about the rubber. We're going to come back and do it. Like I said, some of this stuff, it's faster just to come back and deselect it than it is to try and get it off. Okay. So we have those all set. I'm going to change the ID in this case to 2. Okay. So the next one is the silver. So like I said at the top, we can do the silver pretty quick. We're just going to grab this, and we're going to go, in this case, We're going to go by element because I know these are still separate. So we'll just grab all of that, and that's the silver. That's done, yeah. So I'm going to go get rid of this and just change that 1, 2, 3. That it's working there. So I've got all 3 of those set up. So the last thing we need to do, well, the second to last thing we need to do is the decal. So how do we do that? So if I just have that selection already and I click on this, I've selected everything, right? So if I control I, I'm selecting all the decals. And then I change the decals to, I think it's 4. There we go. We got those back. Now, granted, I already unwrapped all this stuff, so this definitely is part of what's going on. Okay, so the last piece we have here is the rubber stuff. So this one may be a little bit more of a dance because I put the rubber on before I put these on, so let's see. So I'll change it to 6. Change it from this to get rid of my wireframe, and now I've got that rubber on there. Okay, so now I have all these materials set up correctly on here. Well, except for one, I guess. I didn't grab this one. Easy way to grab this. Let's go to your vert mode, grab that center vert, control and click on polygons, and then grow it once. So this one needs to be a 5, I believe. Oops. So we select that. So we've got all 6 of our materials on here. They're all lined up perfectly. The only problem is our metal's not matching. So once we have all of the custom UV unwrap stuff done, what we need to do is put on a UV unwrap that's just the whole box at once. And that's where we come into channels. So with nothing selected, I'm going to open up UV unwrap. I'm going to open up the, let me hide this here. I'm going to open up the UV unwrap viewer here, so you can see all the UVs in their different channels, all 5, 6 of the channels. And I'm going to say, okay, that's how it is now. I'm going to go over to here and change it to 2. Sorry, 2. It's going to ask me if I want to move them or abandon them. I'm going to say abandon so you can see. If I say move, it's just going to look exactly the same. It's going to take what I already unwrapped and put it in there. If I say abandon, it's going to unwrap it like it's never been unwrapped. But if you remember, we moved it earlier when we were first playing around with this. So it does have the UVs from the original. Abandon didn't fix the problem. So I'm going to grab everything, and I probably had it unwrapped before and it collapsed it down. I'm just going to say box map. And basically, I've just used a UV map box map on the whole thing. And now if we look at it, you'll see that this goes across every surface. Exactly the same, including this. And what that does is it allows us to make it feel like, and we can collapse it. Well, the reason it's doing that, let me go back to the materials, is because these two materials, these two maps, are set to map channel 2. So we just box unwrap this to map channel 2, box unwrap this to map channel 2. I'll go back one step here and look at this again. Look at OBD 2. If, and I didn't do it this way, if I grab everything, and go to 3 here, grab everything, and I say instead of box map, I say planar map there. Now it's planar mapping the top, but the sides are getting stretched and then the bottom is unwrapped. So it's just using the whole object and box mapping it over across the whole thing. In cases like this, we don't need our smoothness, which is a tileable texture map, to be perfectly unwrapped, because we're just trying to get this tileable detail into here across the surface. So if I again come back into here and change it to standard high quality, you'll see that that metal goes across every surface because it's metal, except for this one. This one is a little bit different because what I did, if we look at this, is I had a different metal and roughness map based off of the bake for this rubber. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That's the way to do it. And then when we export this out, The FBX will hold on to not only the map channels, the map channel 1 and 2, but also material ID. So each ID using a separate texture. IDs are for the textures, and channels for how they're unwrapped. And like I said, I'm trying to put together a graphic infomercial for this, but for now, that's it. That's all we're doing. We can take those maps, remap them on here. Oh, I guess there's one more thing somebody asked me about, was how did I get to put these on here. Now you could go into Substance Painter and paint these all out by hand, but being old school, I have a different way of doing stuff. I shouldn't say old school, I should say whatever's the fastest way to do it is what I look for. So, you know, I didn't think about the lighting this stuff up until after the fact, and rather than go back into Substance and dance with the alpha layers and the masks and stuff, I just opened up the final UV unwrap texture inside of Photoshop, just like this, and then went and painted over what I wanted. After I painted it over, I threw a black layer underneath it, and now I have a emissive channel for what I want. Now, I'm all about the expediency of doing things because we have too many things that we have to do in a day. If we spent every minute trying to do everything the exact way that every program wants us to do it, we'd be spending time doing stuff that's useless. This is just as effective and just as controlled as trying to paint in Photoshop or in Zen. And then I'll save it as ping. I save it for the web ping because it saves the compression. There's less detail information. Put it on here over my old one, place it, and then come back into here. And now I think I used it, yeah, up here. And you can see now I've got that glow on there. Whether I like it or not, it's there, it's fast, it's easy, I can test it. And if I really wanted to go back and clean it up, I could do it that way. And I could just make it a black and white map, and when I get into Unity, do it that way too. So we'll go back to T, and then there we are. That's it. I'll talk to you all later.